a thing. So, Rangers Endgame actor, because he was really recasted, especially one of the craziest things that Marvel's ever. Latest version, Iron Spider. Despite us already having Tom Holland Spidey in the game, they didn't give fans the MCU version of Iron Spider. Instead, it was the most mid design of all time. Jose, the emote was insane. Damn. But fans wish this was a mythic instead. And they can't stop laughing at the weirdest part of the Marvel season. You can't convince me that Iron Spider, Wolverine, Deadpool, even Tony Stark have their own guitars. Instead of dropping festival instruments and characters that make sense, they handed us an Iron Man bass. You're telling me instead of just collecting real-life bass guitars, he plays one made out of his own armor? Not to mention Wolverine, this guy? Have you been checked for ADHD? He would never pick up an instrument. At least the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles made sense. Players are also asking, why on earth is Marshmallow back again? Every 6 months, the shop updates the brand new version of him for some reason. Whether it's Marsha, Marshanobi, or now a Halloween skin. Players have one question. Who asked for this? There's one experiment Fortnite keeps returning to, which never works. Over the years, we have had tons of invisibility items, from Shadow Stones to the Predator's Cloak, but they're always controversial. This time around, they tried to turn it into a medallion, making you invisible when crouched. A medallion slot, which could have been taken by any other Marvel power, and they went with this. To say fans are not impressed and have been dropping it from their inventory all season. And I think we all agree Chun-Li needs to stay in the vault and never come back. Whenever a ridiculous moment happens, she always seems to be at the scene of the crime. I am not that down bad. Also, Fortnite needs to get rid of party hits. There's only one reason people are buying this, but instead of keeping it in the vault, Epic made it 10 times worse, adding hip check instead. Finding this in skins like Chun-Li and Missy Fred, it's no wonder the Keyboard has come back 8 times already. Everyone's buying. When it comes to balloons, these are usually hit or miss. It entirely depends on the season they release in. So you have a Marvel season full of jetpacks, flight suits, skull dashes, and more. Begs the question, why on earth would anyone choose balloons? To make it worse, pairing them with these items makes them kinda useless. And I gotta admit, Fortnite obviously did this because of their birthday. Except if it was just balloons on the floor, no one would really care. It's the fact they designed a whole birthday medallion around this item, which sadly no one's picking up. On the other hand, Switch is still finding ways to appreciate it and combo them with bubbles or insane straps. Bombs need to go. He's always managed to find a way to come back. It's like every season now we get a last-minute update adding them to the game. Surely someone has to be using these for Epic to keep bringing it back. I mean, they have the statistics, but the stats that are the most important is behind the worst car in Fortnite history. At first, they dropped the Cybertruck for free, which you could argue makes this a little easier to digest, but let's be real, it should have stayed in the vault. Not even 1 week later, it was in the store for $23. At least Black Panther's Mythic will always be free. Of course, this perfectly fits Shuri as the tier 100 skin. So despite the fact it's a super weak item, it makes sense why Epic brought it back. On the bright side, they're trying their hardest to make it more powerful. Because back in 2020, this was just vibranium armor, which no one picked up. To fix this, they turned it into Black Panther's claws, and I'm not gonna lie, they're not too bad. They're just not up to par with other items right now, and because they lock you onto the enemy up close, they are in perfect range to just pop you with a shot. So maybe they should have stayed in the vault, and the same goes for the most ridiculous Fortnitemares item in history. With Halloween just around the corner, everyone is praying for Epic to keep Pickle Rick in the vault. In 2022, instead of some good horror collabs, we were tortured with Mr. Meeseeks and Pickle Rick. It looks so bad.
Dude, Summer was so terrible. I'm sorry. That fan was so bad.
But before we make the change to Chapter 6, there is one holiday event around the corner. Four Nightmares. Of course, it's tradition. Epic is definitely going to bring back witch rooms, but fans were not happy about this last year. When they first released, you could easily flood the phone people with them. However, last Halloween, they ended completely nerfed them, adding weapon dose, basically glorified monster battle. And I don't need to tell you why Coral Castle needs to stay away. We thought it was finally gone for good when Chapter 2 ended, only for 5 season to slowly bring it back. There was a chance to log in and find your favorite POI was turned into a Coral Castle theme. Immediately, everyone was like, not again. Now we are a month away from OG Chapter 2, where in all likelihood, Coral will return in its full glory. I'm not going to beg for Epic to keep this in the fall, we'll land here again, and just for the experience. Let's hope the train is left behind in Chapter 5. It's honestly kind of sad knowing how players wanted this for years. We all thought the movie of the train would be incredible. It sounded great on paper, but in practice, well, we all know how bad it was. Let's make the train interior and chests everywhere to fight over, or just a platform. This a season later, we're hoping it had a reason. Maybe we're finally much more. Turned out he was thinking we got his return, only to get the same train with a logo slapped on it. Yeah, definitely gonna stay in the ball. But if you were around to experience Cookie Box last season, you'll know they definitely need to stay in the ball. Now back then, cars are so powerful that everyone was desperate for a way to counter them. We all suggested EMPs, but instead, for some reason, Epic Canada's Pokeballs. Oh, boy, these were more broken than ever, becoming 10 times more OP than before thanks to a terrible change. Before, if you got shot while dancing, it canceled the animation, but sometimes it would take a couple seconds before giving you control again.
Me. Help me. Oh, man.
And when the Driftwood captured our hearts in Chapter 1, we bugged out that it was no excuse to support. Looking for us, we had a solution. This version, that won't be the same thing. Except with the TMNT Driftwood, it wasn't just a reskin, they had a charge. Basically ruined the whole vehicle, so Epic gave them a bubble. They decided to reveal the Nitro Big Gun. This vehicle was ready to look incredible. Then the stars would get nitro-powered. Well, we were wrong. The final week, they gave us a normal minigun, nothing special about it. It turns out the trailer just had a wrap on it, making us all look like little idiots. Okay, maybe just me. To make things worse, the regular minigun was thrown back to the wall a few days later when Season 3's end. Really, we have been they seriously delivered. Not just with OG Fortnite, but Reload, as well as Legos, Open is everywhere. It makes you realize how bad utilizing some hours and bony birds were. All we wanted back then was the original Symphony, and Fortnite kept handing us back random mashups, like with a combo with Salty Springs and turn it into Twilight Cage. In fact, tons of players didn't even recognize this as Tilted. They just assumed it was an original POI. And so this is one of the only things in this video that is thankfully not leaving the ball. One is why should have stayed there. Chapter 3, we were introduced to the Daily View. While this was super unique and a fun location to drop, its replacement was not up to par. Although the volcano would flood the bugle with lava, bringing back this iconic POI from Chapter 1. Only for a different area to show up. Lazy Lagoon. It didn't fit the season of all the a lot of this, especially until your friends drop at the State of the Fall, Luke Wasteland season have been so hated. And these attachments were the foundation of car mods. Their popularity might have inspired Fortnite to create a whole theme around them. Of course, it ended up being one of the most controversial seasons since Survival, so our chompers and how catch it playing. For some players will agree that prop flyer really needs to stay in the ball. Just like invisibility, disguising as props is something that people have never liked to do. It's much way dedicated prop on map. When you don't Chapter 2 when the prop flyer released, allowing anyone to become a prop no matter where they were. Okay, that could be interesting. Maybe some potential here, except the list of props was tiny. They weren't even common on the map, so it's not like you could disguise as a tree or something and only items that stuck out. Now I gotta admit, I've always been the person advocating for Dr. Sloan. She was a great one, but to be honest, most fleshed out we've ever had. I'll still die out in 22 months. Sloan's good off. but that's when Donald Buster left, handing over keys to the storyline. So when Sloane was finally revealed as alive, it was exciting, and that's it. I'm really happy. The writers didn't give much for her character, and she took charge of Quest for like a season. Not very much for Sloane since Chapter 4 ended, so honestly, they should have saved her return for a more dramatic comeback. Maybe redeem yourself to save us. Feels a little weird to say out loud, but players want Vex to stay in the vault because they're too clean. So this is 2019, I wasn't laughing at you. When people spent their phone bars to get things back in the game, it wasn't great. But we were terrified of a Season X 2.0, so they nerfed these into the ground and gave them response. Not to mention the players really better at getting things to me. But it won't fight again. It's a little weird, but it also showed a major flaw. Epic has no idea how to balance these things. The best understand. When it comes to fan warning, sometimes you can't be trusted. Let's be honest. The movie was a disaster from day one, forcing Fortnite to remove it from controversies and bring it back in a strange way. Now we can rebuild Tilted and vote for our favorite fan creations. Except they accidentally gave one of the options a uniform selection. This might expand votes for XP. Great towards one candidate. Epic, please never bring the system back. The same goes for beloved characters. UI showed his signature, his crew belongings, and dialogue talking about his plan. Eventually, he returned to get a happier ending than a shark bite. We got to break him free from the underworld before taking him back in the yacht and letting his crew sail into the sunset. Right now, they are exploring the world and enjoying their life, which feels like the best ending here. I'm not really sure Midas needs to come back anymore. The story was meant to be over years ago. Thanks to fan demand, Epic gave them this short conclusion. Hoping he stays vaulted to keep the story intact. But Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.
Limited social media from Voxy Mobile is great. Seen that new sneaker drop? That's my autumn look sorted.
Oh yeah? And what's the rest of you look?
This?
Sick.
The fun never ends with unlimited social media on Voxy Mobile.
This is my King Tower. That's where I'm here to
hatred for villagers and even the player, but how did they get there?
Well, by analyzing secret hints and lore that have been put into the game, we put together the art story of Minecraft's village. All the way back years ago, before there were any mansions, outposts, villagers, or even villagers, every villager lived in peace among each other. Just like we see them today, the villagers went to their usual 9-to-5 jobs and lived to sleeping or food. But in one particular village, there was a cleric named Dr. Folk who didn't follow the usual. Instead of going like everyone else, he would keep everything in his second. Instead of doing the same exact thing every day, trying new things and innovate. Everyone thought he was insane for that, and one day, before he was about to have a breakthrough discovery, his village president, Hank, would confront him about his practices. Hey, Dr. Fogan, you've gone off the rails recently, bucko. Stop the experiments or get out. Here, trying to change this village instead of the real. I've never heard of what happened to our ancestors.
What ancestors? Like the monkeys?
Nah, that's too far. Centuries ago, there existed people like us, but instead looked a lot different, sticking their hands for and fighting, but most importantly, they needed us. This is all the places really things out today, but created something that accidentally.
What did they create?
You remember, some say it was a portal, some say it was a bomb. But fortunately, a few did survive and created these villages. The ancestors things to try new things and will repeat what they did, which is what I'm afraid you'll end up doing. You got till tomorrow morning to decide.
Believe it. All of his genius work was about to be thrown in the gutter, even though he was confident it would never hurt anybody. He already had his mindset made up though, and later that night he was on his lab while everyone was asleep and left, heading to where no villager had ever gone before, the snowy country. Without iron golems to defend himself against the mobs of the night, he needed some sort of shelter, so he went ahead and built himself a small cozy igloo that he could figure down into the
time being. He was still worried that Hank would come looking for him once he found he left, so he built a decoy home where he could sleep on the surface, but underground was where the real magic happened. And I ain't talking about breeding. In this bunker, he stored his cleric stand and would carry out whatever experiments he wanted, all in secret. Since the following months, the experiments he did conduct were pretty tame, similar to the ones back in the village. But just as his skin turned gray from the lack of vitamin D in that cellar, his hatred for the villagers grew as well as the morale left. Along with this big experiment required a test subject. So on one dark night, he sneakily took a trip back to the village while everyone was sleeping and kidnapped one of his old boys, Ronnie the farmer.
No, please, not the IRS. I swear I pay my taxes. Wake up, Raymond. Remain fat nuts. And if you stay out, I'll send you to the gallows. Please, man, I don't want to die. I'll do whatever you say.
What Ronnie didn't know was that the fate waiting for him back at the igloo was far worse than being killed.
Get in this trap here. My soul. Take your eyes off my subject, Ronnie. This man's down with me.
Dr. Folk stopped listening to Ronnie pleads for help and went to go grab some lapis lazuli he had left over from his trades back in the village. Getting special potions quickly walked over to Ronnie. The experiment went perfectly. After injecting the lapis and its magical enchanting properties in Ronnie's brain, it turned him into a mind-controlled villager that would take all of his orders without question. It was just a matter of time. Dr. Book continued this process of secretly kidnapping villagers and bringing them back to the lab to turn them into either a pillager or a vindicator to slowly build his army up. The problem was that the environment wasn't too pristine or ideal, which led to some experiments to go wrong, actually killing the villager involved, turning them into a zombie. So Dr. Book took all of his army and headed to a place on the hill, but still just as discreet as the snowy tundra, the Garden of the Forest. Instead of living a minimalistic life in the village, they went ahead and built huge luxurious mansions and started living in peace with the mobs they would fear. They even made giant pillager headcrafts on the side of the sea. This one place in the range, disturbing addition to the mansion was Dr. Book's altar. This was where he would now conduct the transition of captured villagers into mind-controlled pillagers. It would also be the place for new tests, so he was similar to Ron in the first test subject. Eddie, who is a village blacksmith, was kidnapped and about to be tested by Dr. Book's methods.
Ready? You just make it as it is. What did you say about my
Decided a ritual threw a new function onto Benny, turning him into a never-before-seen mob, the Ravage. Everything about it, the facial features, the sounds it made, all resembled exactly that of a villager, but one strong. Now with this absolute monster of a creation, Dr. Book finally decided to prepare revenge on the village, ransack make a game plan with the map they built with the raid. Yeah, Naruto running from the left and Konosuba from the right. Next, they went ahead and built a giant outpost nearby. Make the job. Everything's perfect. It's now time for the attack. Oh, but there must be some new update. Wait a second. 1.69. The village with one gold mine. Weapons to defend themselves in the lack of iron gold. The villagers were no match for the never-before-seen enemy they were fighting. This is what the
You have no choice.
6 man, you move behind all of this, and I'll have to go. Just catch me alive. Other living villagers inside the old prison built in the mansion. The old village was left to rot away and abandoned. The citizens turned into zombies. with a built-in fighting ring inside of it. So this is where villagers are forced to throw it down, all for the villagers' entertainment.
As you know, it's the shows they have to do.
Dates gone back to bench pressing, the weights used to lift back in the 80s. The bell rang and Hank started dodging all of the therapy shot at him. Maybe it was a Lapis injection in the brain, but Howard wasn't there.
See if he has that luck against ex-blacksmith Benny the Ravager.
Against a 500-pound animal beast, but Hank was also 500 pounds of pure muscle. This fight was a lot more intense. Hank knew his life was on the line, and he was fighting with every last breath. He powered through, though, and was able to outsmart the beast by spamming the old smack and step back method.
What the hell? How's he winning? Wait, he's supposed to die, but why do we put him against now? Me. I'd like to handle this one personally.
Everyone went silent. Dr. Vogue stepped out of the corner with a menacing look on his face. He decided if you want a job done, you gotta do it yourself. Dr. Vogue, you were once a great cleric, but look at all of this. Human experiments, recreating portals, but look, you're gonna kill us all like our ancestors did. Bell rang. Turning around, Hank wasn't able to repeat moves as well. Giant claws coming out of the ground and small ghosts attacking him. He realized how smart of a scientist Dr. Vogue actually was.
You're putting up a much better fight than I anticipated, Hank, but just realize there is no winning outcome for you here.
We'll see about that, scumbag. Hank unleashed everything he had on his enemy, throwing haymakers left and right, pushing him out of the ring, taking every hit like it was nothing to him. Then finally, on half a heart, Hank unloaded his last possible punch. That one was for Ben. Without their leader to give orders, the rest of the villagers sat around scared and confused, wondering if they should try finishing off the job or stay away for their own greater good. Hank paid them no mind.
If you're ready, and if you let me,
Place to talk.
if you're ready.
This battle, the war was just beginning. The breakthrough Dr. Vogue was about to have all the way back in the village was a potion that could defy life and death. He just finished it before battle. With the
You should see.
creating an influence for vengeance instead of capture, as well as sending out convoy groups to scout out and attack anyone that associates with the village. Which leaves us with you, the player, who must defend the village and its people at all costs with the pillager game.
You know I'll never back down, never would.
Growing up, my life was all over the place.